Hey, you. Welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
Is that kind of the obvious one to go with?
The most obvious one.
Because he sucks at ping pong. Remember that? The Office? Okay. We've had a bunch of people, and by a bunch, I mean like two, waiting for our review of the third record from Avril Lavigne, The Best Damn Thing.
A couple of people are very persistently asking for this, so here you go.
One in particular, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to you. We're doing it. It's happening. Here it is. Now, you had heard this record?
Mm-mm.
You hadn't heard this record?
I had not, no.
So we both heard it for the first time today.
I had heard, I had Let Go, and then I think I'd heard maybe... I forget already, the second one. And then at one point I listened to whatever one has Hello Kitty on it for some reason.
Gotcha.
But this one, everything else I have not heard.
Okay, yeah.
Her.
So this is a 2007 release going way back. Mm-hmm. I started listening to it and I stopped and I was like, man, I don't like this. And then when I jumped back in, I sort of found my way in more.
Yeah.
I restarted it and gave it a fresh listen, and I think I did enjoy a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's what I like about it. One review described this as Tony Basil.
Oh, I don't know.
Hey Mickey.
Yeah, hey Mickey girl.
Let's say Basil.
Okay.
Okay, one review described this as Tony Basil cheerleading for Blink-182. That whole vibe, that's what I liked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we both agree that we kind of wish she'd gone further in that kind of just in that direction in general. I
think so. I think I would have liked this album way more even if that had been pushed to its extreme. I really like all the ones that are these stomp clappy, upbeat, fun, and also seemingly purposefully corny and ridiculous.
Yeah.
I really like that. And I think if that was taken to its extreme, just totally lean into it and have the whole record be like that, and maybe one ballad at the end, I think I would have had an even more positive response to it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really fun stuff. I think
totally.
So this album starts out with its best song.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh.
Well, there's one other that's pretty up there.
I have a different favorite than Girlfriend.
I just think Girlfriend is so fun. It's a great single. It's kind of, it's introducing very perfectly this new direction that she's going in, which is pulling away from the more rock sound of the previous album. And she's being a little more lighthearted about things. She's got do you want to talk about the cover for a second? She's got the pink hair.
You know what? I don't want to talk about the cover at all. That's terrible. Let's keep talking about Girlfriend.
It's pretty bad. But it also signals this hey, I'm a little bit leaning into the girly thing a little more.
Yeah.
But I'm still badass. And so I think Girlfriend kind of rides that line in a really, really fun way.
I agree. I'm a sucker for stomp clap songs. Holla Back Girl, I love.
Holla Back Girl.
One of my favorite songs of all time, some of you may know, is a song called Infinity Guitars by Sleigh Bells. And if you think you haven't heard Infinity Guitars, you'll probably recognize it by this sound. It's that song. It's in a bunch of trailers. I love the band Sleigh Bells, but yeah, big stomp clap stuff, chanty cheerleader vibe, but with an edge. I love it, and that's why I want those guitars up a little more.
Yeah.
Now, that's maybe my second favorite, but we'll get to my other favorite later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I Can Do Better. Just wanted to highlight the line, was it, I'll drink as much limoncello as I'd like.
I wrote that exact same thing down. I'm so crazy, I'm going to drink limoncello.
Yeah, that's saying oh man, last night was nuts. We had a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade. It was crazy.
So that stuff will mess you up with the sugar content.
Yeah, it's true. Instant headache. One sip headache. Yeah, that's kind of the fried chicken ass of the album.
Yeah, it's not as egregious, but it's a little, it's silly.
But that's what I'm talking about. I almost just want more of it.
Yeah.
More absurd lines where what? What is she yelling about?
Yeah.
And that sort of absurdity added to the fun of these tracks.
Yeah.
So I think the 1-2 punch there, Girlfriend and I Can Do Better, it's just boom, boom, and I'm into it.
You know what? I am just thinking of this moment, but this morning I was listening to Midnight Boom by The Kills, and Alphabet Pony.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are just like, what the heck is she saying? It's kind of, that's like what it should be, where it's just like random lyrics. Because then, another major problem I have with this album, which again, I don't want to like bash it like and say it's bad. Like, I'm just going to point out some things here, which is, I consistently do have issues with her lyrics. Personally, I find, sometimes it just could be pushed further. And there's a lot of like weird stuff on this album of like just like women hating stuff. She's always like calling girls like B words. And
every other girl is like,
every other girl
terrible.
sucks. It's the misery business problem, but she has never apologized for.
Hey, we don't know that.
Well, maybe she has.
I don't follow her.
Yeah, but I mean, and I like Avril. There's just a weird like early 2000s where it's still not quite like realized that like maybe we should not do that.
Well, it was 2007.
Yeah.
Was that also like the year of Misery Business?
Pretty close.
It's right around the same time.
Yeah.
So that was definitely going on then. We've moved past it. We've matured, but we can still listen
I hold
back.
no grudge on you, Avril.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a line I wanted to highlight in Everything Back to You. Mm-hmm. So that was this really fun pop punk thing. And I believe Travis Barker is on drums here, which is cool to bring him in, if it's supposed to sound like, cheerleading for Blink-182, bring the guy in. Let's do it,
Yeah, he seems to love collaborating with other people.
Yeah, he's on everybody's songs. Let's get him on one of our songs.
Yeah, Travis.
If it's that easy.
Call us.
So I wanted to talk about the line, I hate you, why are guys so lame? Mm-hmm. Now, again, like, I love just like the brattiness, the almost immaturity that's being like shouted, like a kid. Like, yeah, I want that absurdity out of it. And I just wanted to say, like, I know that especially back then, like, Avril was looked at as like, oh, she's a poser, like she's not real pop punk. And like, this just goes to show like the guys saying that, or the people saying that, that are maybe also rocking Blink-182, like Travis is on here.
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, Tom DeLonge singing Girls Are Such a Drag on Enema of the State.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Like, you can't knock one and not knock the other.
I felt that too. I felt like the lyrically and subject wise, they were really connected to each other actually quite a bit in just the kind of things they sing about and what they say and the maturity level of it. And, again, it doesn't have to be all like high literary lyrics.
Yeah.
And a lot of people enjoy this. So it works for them. But it's so weird. It's just because she has, she wears eyeliner and like in this has like pink hair on this album cover. It's like, well, she's not bad. She's like cheesy. She's cheesy.
That's kind of been, I remember growing up during this time, being a teen during, her kind of first trajectory there. Like, that was the narrative, that she is lame, that she's a poser. And yeah, looking back, it just seems so absurd. Like, pop punk is pop punk. This song in particular is super fun.
Yeah.
You have other people involved on this record that are like big in the pop punk world, like Derek Whibley.
She was married to him.
Right. So she was married to him at the time. Some 41 guy, Derek
Whibley.
Derek Whibley. And, to have people like him and Travis in on this thing.
Because Derek produced 2 of the songs off this album.
Yeah, he's producing, he's writing on it with her. Like, it legitimizes it and goes to show that, like, hey, this isn't like, you can't call her a poser just because it's a girl doing pop punk.
Yeah.
But anyway, to backtrack a little bit, back from that song to the title track, Best Damn Thing. I think that's one of my favorites too, because they're totally leaning into it. She got that call and response going with the guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cheesy fun that I enjoyed from this album.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you just got to bring up the dichotomy again. Like, I just have to lyrically. where, you know, and then she's talking about a Cinderella story. It's like, that's the opposite of your narrative. Like, you're supposed to not want, like, to just be, like, pretty and someone comes along like, ooh, pretty, be my girlfriend. Like, you're supposed to have personality and fun and badass, you know? So it's just funny that, like, these things get conflated a lot in, like, women's pop punk in particular. The people writing for it will, like, put something like that in. And, you know, again, it's totally fine, but it kind of amuses me a little bit.
To be fair, I really see a through line being on the third Avril album that I'm hearing for the first time now. Lyrics, they're never the strong point.
Oh, no.
They never are. In
Never.
fact, I'd say that in the three that I've heard now, lyrics are kind of one of the weaker elements.
For sure.
And that's why when they get really ridiculous on this, I'm like, I'll take it.
Bring it on.
Like, at
Keep
least
going.
it's something different.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about ballads for a second.
Okay.
Avril's ballads sort of go in one ear and out the other for me. And I know a lot of people like them. Mm-hmm. Ballads are never really my thing anyway. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I kind of give that a pass. It's like, it's not really for me. Mm-hmm. But I kind of wish this album was just full of bratty, chanty, cheerleader, stomp clap, and then maybe throw one ballad at the end.
Yeah, she's a very good ballad singer. She can really belt a ballad. And so I think that they tend to, on her albums, they tend to be just really similar to each other. It's like, we know that she can do this thing with her voice, so we're going to do that thing 3 times on this album.
There's
and
3,
they
right?
don't, and they don't like really live up to, you know, for example, I'm With You. I really like Off Let Go.
Okay.
And, you know, it almost feels like they're trying to just be that song. There's some good attempts on here. You know, When You're Gone has potential. Every ballad on this album has strings too, which I don't need at all.
Yeah,
I don't need the strings.
They're like perfectly placed. There's like, okay, there's one in Act 1, there's one in the middle, there's one in Act 2.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like they grind the album to a screeching halt for me while I was in the middle of having fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they stopped all the fun to be serious all of a sudden. You know, I got like whiplash from it, especially going from Best Damn Thing, the title track, to When You're Gone.
Yeah.
It's just like, wait, I know you guys are having a good time, but like, everyone sit around. Let's be serious for a second.
Yeah. And then you've got Rob Cavallo producing Innocence, which I think, again, like, there's things I like about that. And definitely, we love a lot of what Rob Cavallo does.
Oh, yeah. He's ever present on this channel.
Yeah. And so he's doing like the best he can with what he's got here. And then, you know, there's a lot of Dr. Luke on this album, unfortunately. And so he does one of the ballads.
Right. Yeah. He's all over this thing. That's too bad.
It's too bad. Yeah. So the ballads just sort of, none of them stand out to me. So I'm curious if anyone's like, no, I love the ballads, or like, this ballad is my favorite ballad, or yeah. And I can see that because, again, she is one of the better ballad performers, I think, in pop music.
Well, right after Innocence, we've arrived at my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Don't Have to Try. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite one. We got this awesome beat that's really infectious. It's like simple but cool. It's something we haven't really heard from Avril before, this like kick and snare / clap pattern.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then what's with it? These like detuned, muted guitars. This is like, you know, Poppy before Poppy or something.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I love this one too. It's got great energy. What did I say? Oh, that she's got that that scream in it, like almost like a sludgy. Again, a Poppy before Poppy.
Totally. That's what I heard in it. And it's, you know, it's so long before Poppy, Willow, Demi were like doing that kind of thing. So like to hear this on the back half of a 2007 Avril record, I was like, whoa, where did that come from? Also, in the chorus, or no, it's not the chorus, but it's a belty part. then it has that gain that was needed before that I was talking about. That part would also be kind of like at a piercing frequency if they hadn't distorted it. And then they do on this song. So it's frustrating that they don't on the others.
Yeah, and I think just like some distortion and some like more creative productions, like maybe less of a pop production and someone more like Rob Cavallo coming in on other songs could have really helped this album a lot. I think it could have made it like just brought it to another level.
I mean, that's what I love about, I was talking about the Sleigh Bells track, you know, that thing is like, it's kind of blown out. It's a little bit in the red. Everything's kind of like, everything is starting to distort because it's so like big and oomphy. That's what I think some of these songs needed. But also I know why, you know, it's like, this is a major commercial release and, you know, record label people in control. I know she got a little more freedom on this one, but I know why it doesn't sound like that. You know, I know it has to be clean and sheeny.
Yeah.
The last thing I kind of slacked on notes on the back half of the album, but yeah, one of these girls, you start to bring in Derek stuff and that was pretty fun. And then, you know, one last ballad, which, you know, I don't have much to say about, but overall I had a good time. Yeah.
I think for me, this album, I get what she's doing. It's not totally my bag, but I respect it. I respect the vision.
Yeah.
It's really consistent, but for me, that kind of almost makes it a little bit not boring, but just like not a lot of surprises on it. So when you get something like, you know, the one, whatever your favorite, what was that one called again?
Yeah, I don't have to try.
Yeah, that one, you get that, and then it's like really refreshing. Because sometimes consistency can go too far.
Right. Yeah. I was really happy this wasn't a trilogy. This was something different. There was an attempt at like a new sound here that I appreciated and I wanted more of. So I'm glad it wasn't just a third one that sounded like, you know, another new version of Let Go.
Right, yeah.
Which is kind of what we saw from the second one. I liked the second one better, but you know, it did feel like, okay, let's do Let Go again, but better and with
like
less
another take on it. Yeah.
And with less work. So that's all we got.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. I think maybe people really love this album. So give us your takes, convince us, you know, again, not that we don't like this album, but convince us why it's the best if you think so. Because I'm happy to hear opinions.
How many more of these do I have to listen to?
I know. I don't think. Okay, here's the thing. We've done 3 Avrils. We have other series we're trying to do. So maybe we'll come back to Avril sometime, but don't hold your breath at the moment.
I think they got to convince us. Do we continue on? Do we go to the 4th? If we got enough comments, people saying you got to do the 4th one.
That's true.
The 4th one's the best. What are you talking about?
That was the reason we did this today, because I was like, well, people keep commenting about Avril, so we kind of have to.
Yeah. Popular vote wins. Come on. So yeah, show some love. Convince us to do the next Avril record. And thanks for watching. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
All right, we did it. We're done.
Bye.
Bye.